Okay, good day once again. Okay, so let's still on the part of fundamentals and structures of modern math, no? Foundation. So this is the last part, methods of proof. Okay. So in here we discuss three methods: direct proof, contrapositive, and proof by contradiction. Okay. So we start with direct proof first. A direct proof is a procedure of proving the truth of P implies Q. First, we assume that P is true. Okay? We consider that the premise or P, proposition P is true. Then we build an argument using a chain of implication leading directly to the conclusion that Q is also true. Okay? So example, prove using direct proof statement. If x is an odd integer, then x squared is odd also. Example 3. Yang ato yung square ang 3, 3 times 3, 9. 9 is also odd. Okay? So prove using direct proof. Assume that x is an odd number. Then if x is odd, then x is equal to 2a plus 1. So this is an indicator that 2a plus 1 representing an odd number, no? Okay, 2a is even man. So mo kag plus 1, ma-add na siya. Okay, for some a element of z. If x is equal to 2a plus 1 for some a elements of z, then ato na siyang square. So may outcome ana. Okay, so 2a squared plus 2a plus 1, or we set b as equal to 2a squared plus 2a for some z, no? Element of z. Z representing an integer. Now, if x squared is equal to 2b plus 1 with b element of z, then x squared is odd. Because 2b plus 1 is a representation of an odd number also. Okay? So that is using direct proof. Proof by contrapositive. Okay, so proof by contrapositive as the fact that an implication and its contrapositive are equivalent. So if we can prove the contrapositive is true, then we may conclude that the original implication is also true. Thus, to prove by contrapositive, we begin by assuming that Q is false, not Q, and then padulong ta sa not P. Okay, muna siya. Not Q implies not P. So, ang direct proof is P implies Q. Ang contrapositive is atong inegate ang Q, and then padulong ta sa not P. Okay? So, for example, if the sum of two real numbers is positive, ang sum sa duha ka real number is positive, then at least one of them is positive. That is xy element of R, the sum for every x and y element of R, ang ilang sum is positive, then at least isa nila, no, sa x and y are positive. Okay, so ato na i-prove by contrapositive. So you have there the converse, derived implication, no? Converse Q implies P. Ang bali, ang inverse is not P implies not Q. Ang contrapositive is not Q implies not P. So, muna yung statement, no? If the sum of two real numbers is positive, then either of the two real numbers are positive. So, it's either x ang positive or ang y. So, unsa may contrapositive ana? So, ang ang negation sa P would be what? X plus y lesser or equal to 0. Okay? Negation na siya. So, negation na siya, class, ha? Negation. So, unsa may negation sa for this one? So, x is either less than 0 or y is less than or Okay, so okay na siya. So if x is less than or equal to 0 and y is also, then x plus y is less than or equal to 0, which is correct, no? So by direct proof, assume that x sub 0, x is less than and or equal to 0 and y is less than or equal to 0, then if you're going to get their sum, it must be less than or equal to 0 also. Therefore, mubalik ta sa iyahang original nga proposition, x plus y is greater than 0, then either x, ato rin gibali, no? Nibalik ta sa original proposition. Okay, so that is proof by contrapositive. Lastly, you have proof by contradiction. So a proof by contradiction is based on the fact that a statement is either true or false. So instead of showing directly that assertion holds is true, we may show that it cannot. So when we conclude that it must be true, thus to prove by contradiction that the implication P implies Q is true. So we begin by assuming or the assumption that ato siyang ibaliho, no? So assuming it is false, by definition this means that P is true and Q is false. Then we construct an argument that leads to a contradiction. So theoretically, this is impossible because we can never prove that n is a false statement is true, no? Possible kay ng false statement mo true. So this forces us to conclude that the assumption is the source of the contradiction, and we cannot assume that the implication P implies Q is false. So medyo taas-taas kay niya pag-state. All we have to do is we negate the P, no? So you have there the P implies Q. All we have to do is we negate the P and then we build an argument nga makontradict siya sa ato ang Q. And then we conclude that that is a contradiction, and therefore P must be we will not accept the negation of P, but we will accept the original premise, no, or the original assumption. Okay, so nihatag ko example pare raman din sa katong kaganina, no. So sa ato ang direct proof, ako ra ni class, pero anyway the same ra na, no, pagba. For all integers, if n is odd, then n squared is odd. So again, 3, yan, kung ato i-square ang 3, mahimo siyang 9. So 9 odd. So using proof by contradiction, ato inegate ang P, no? So n is odd. So suppose n is even, then n is equal to 2k. Thus kung atong i-square ang n, or n squared, so that is 2k times 2k for some k element of z. Okay, so eventually kung ang n nato even, ang n squared niya even sad. Okay, so this is a contradiction since n squared is odd. So therefore n must be odd. Okay, and that n is equal to 2k plus 1. Ako lang gibalik tong kuan ganina, no, ang iyang pag-proof niya. So makita anto dire 2 equal to 2k squared plus 2k, ni-add man siya plus 1. So muna indicator nga add siya. Okay, so ang idea here is i-negate nimo ang P and then mo build kag argument nga ma-contradiction siya. Okay, and therefore the original P must be kuan. Okay, you apply the original P. Okay, so once again, thank you mo na diri ra ta ko to sa Math 204, no. So na ako ipa-answer ninyo sa next page. Anyway, ako ni appeal og ano. Here, no? So, okay, so ako na ipa-answer niyo class, no? Ana, you're going to prove it by direct proof, by contrapositive, and by contradiction for every statement. Okay? So, thank you. So, ari na po ko sa Math 206 mo concentrate. Okay?